me and Reed get to ask questions.
Cookie to cookie. Yeah, 3 eggs, a cup of flour, some sugar, and grab me a cake. Here's good. That's pretty much it. Oh, and I am also Santa Christ. Right.
I believe in Santa Christ!
Santa Christ! Okay, so this is pretty much just a straightforward Q&A. We got a microphone up here. We're just going to jump right into it. So if anyone has a question, just go ahead, line on up. You don't know what I'm saying.
Oh my God. Holy Jesus. So much for asking questions.
No, I see kids from 4 rows back. Just probably like at least half an hour. Running towards us. Look kids in the front row just be like, that wasn't orderly enough, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to pass out spears and hand them to all of you in line. Whoever's not standing gets to ask the question. Come on!
It is less shot at.
So, cool. We'll start with the first question here.
Wait, where's the answer?
I think the mic has to be on the order.
Wait, is this thing on?
Smart ass, slowly. I give you like 1 job, guys! 1 job! We're never coming back again. I didn't get like 3 M&M's only in a green reminder. Let's do this.
Help us, Matt.
Will you ever review Manos the Hands of Fate?
Will I ever review Manos the Hands of Fate? No, because I think this exercise here is everything that can be done about it. It's so brilliant.
They really drove them.
I think with a lot of reviews when people ask if there's something, there's a movie we don't want to do, it's usually because we can't think of any material, or it's been done and we can't think of anything to do to add. Like a lot of people ask, what you got to do for a demo? And I'm like, anything that can be said about it has been said by people that had probably much better jokes than I did, so probably not.
Do it.
You're just having to do it. All your friends are reviewing it. So cool, thanks so much.
Yeah, so I was just wondering, are you ever going to think about reviewing the Doom movie at all? The collaboration, it has a rock in it.
The Doom as in D-O-O-M? It just plays a game.
Yeah, it's totally different. You just don't watch.
I never have seen it. It just kind of looked dumb. If it gets like a lot of requests, a lot of people like, no, dude, seriously, you gotta do it. I'll probably check it out, but if not, it doesn't hold that big an interest to me. So, I don't know. The Rock in a strange way is kind of hard to make fun of because I genuinely like him. And he's not, we don't hate The Rock. Oh, I'm sorry, The Rock Johnson. Yeah.
It was just because in the movie he has some weird lines as well. Also, Elijah.
I have 2 quick questions.
Go ahead.
Have you ever seen the movie, because I believe you briefly referenced it in, I think it was Home Alone 3. Have you ever seen the movie Plane, Trains, and Automobiles?
That's amazing. I watch that every Thanksgiving. Every Thanksgiving. Next time, have a point. Thank you so much for interesting.
And my other one is, will Ask That Guy with Glasses ever make a comeback?
He will come back. We're kind of we're gonna kill him off. And actually, I won't give away what it is, but actually, we had Lewis up recently. He had a real good idea for how to sort of act him off. I was sort of like, ooh, like I like that. So it might still be a bit, but we won't bring him back.
The Power Rangers, Star Trek, and Chicken Fingers. All in one glorious trifecta.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
I just wanted to say first, I love your videos. I've loved the Nostalgia Critic since I saw your Secret Min 2 review.
Oh, awesome.
I was just wondering, in your Titanic review, you touched on guilty pleasures. Do you have an ultimate guilty pleasure movie?
An ultimate, like the ultimate, nobody can top it. The one for me, probably, like I know it's bad, but I just love it. I can't help it. I really like the rough back sheet Lord of the Rings. Because that was like my answer. I think he wants to read the book. And the funny thing is, when I saw the first Jackson one, the Fellowship, which I do have issues with, I think the anime one did do some things better. But I was like, oh no, the anime one did so much better. I can't believe all that she did. No. I went back to watching it and for myself, Brian, I just went, oh no. Like, even though I love it, I'm like, oh no, this is not good. Like, there's some stuff I love it, I think is better than the live action. I'm like, yeah, this doesn't work.
I'd say for me, David Lynch's Dune. It's just and I also going to go with Twister. I actually don't hate that one. When we reviewed it, I was like, oh, it's stupid as all hell, but I love this movie. So, yeah, that's ours.
Hello. Hi. So, you reviewed a lot of really awful movies. Is there a movie so awful that you physically cannot
Go for it.
For your own personal safety?
If I physically can, eventually I can, but physically I can't push it back.
I wish we had done that on a couple films.
Yeah. And no, it's not. The hardest ones to do are just boring films. That's like Junior was probably like the hardest one we ever did. Because it didn't play as a comedy. It's like, no, what if a guy got pregnant? Let's really look at that. And let's get all sorts of it. But it's like totally straight. And it's just like, no, that's not. I can't work with that. People get mad. What's wrong with you? Your heart was whether they were getting pregnant. Like the opportunity of a lifetime. You don't make it funny. Something that naturally writes yourself funny. It's like features. Yeah, so it's like that was the one where it's like, God, we had like a dream sequence in the middle because we could not think of anything.
Literally, we watched these films together. I fell asleep.
Yeah,
I literally fell asleep. Woke up on my crap. I think I fell asleep. I missed anything. He's like, no, you're only out for 5 minutes. It's a crap or something. I missed the whole thing.
But no, there's never been a movie where it's like, it's too bad, we can't do it. It's like, we'll do it if. I mean, that's a challenge for us. Like, really, this is the worst? Oh, yeah, check it out. So, no, that hasn't happened yet.
Okay, good to
We've
know.
come close.
Thank you.
Sure.
Hi. My question is, are you going to do a bum review of the Angry Video Game Nerd movie?
Well, we were talking about, I'm going to see it when it comes to Chicago. I haven't seen it yet. I don't even know. It's like we shot a cameo, but it's like I know how that works. It's like I could be cut out. I don't know. So it's like I don't even know if I'm technically in it, but something like that might be fun. James is busy outside of contacting him that much about it, but it's one of those things about sort of like, maybe it could just be like send this out there when it goes to TV or something like that. So yeah, we'll talk about it. We're definitely we'll do something with that.
All right, thanks a lot.
Sure.
Hey again. I know how much you hate the original Inspector Gadget movie, but are you considering possibly reviewing Inspector Gadget 2? Thankfully, Broderick is not in it, and it still got bad reviews, but at least it tried to follow the source material there.
That's what he said. I haven't seen it.
So I've seen, it was on TV, and I'm scared. So I've seen maybe about 3/4, 2/3 of the film, and as I was watching it, I'm like, A, I think French Stewart was doing it better, and B, I'm just like, I mean, this is not a good movie by any stretch of imagination, but for what it's supposed to be, like Inspector Gadget, I'm like, this film really nailed it a lot better than the first movie did. And yes, no Matthew Broderick. Plus. Those brain note. I don't remember that happening. I mean, there were some holdovers from the previous one, but I'm like, this is much closer to the cartoon, and as a movie intended for children, I'm like, you know what, if I were 7 years old, I would probably like this. Even if I were 7, I don't think I would like the first Inspector Gadget. So there you go.
Thank you.
Sure.
Hola. First off, bad credit card.
Like 500 people usually try to do that, and I was like, look, I gotta save my money, guys. I speak for a living.
And Del gets disinvited to every future con here. Seriously though, you said last panel that you were at that you were into Breaking Bad season 4. What's your favorite episode so far? Who's your favorite character?
My favorite episode? I don't know if I have a favorite episode yet, but I'll say this because my wife really got into it, and all I could see watching the show is, hey, let's watch the Depression album. And it's like, and I don't mean that like it's these characters as depressed though they are. It's more like, hi, we're gonna make you feel terrible. Did you like that? We have another one next episode. And it's like, it's very well done, but it's like, I hated these characters. And
kids don't make drugs.
Yeah, no, and it's like everybody loves Charles Raymond. I know that's a good show as well, right? I hate all those people. I despise them. They're just like, just wake up, you idiots. You know, I just want to smack all of them. That was the same thing with Breaking Bad. I just wasn't like any of the characters. But my wife wanted to watch it, and it is good. I mean, it is very good. I can't stand them. But then we got to season 3, and we got the lawyer, and we got Gus, and we got the hitman. Like, now I'm in love. Now I can't wait for the next episode. Like, we're just binge watching it like that. So, I don't have a favorite episode yet. I do have a favorite character. I do love Gus. Gus is like, what you doing here? Alright, thank you. Sure. Whoa, it's like deja vu.
Yeah, we're the Blues Brothers. Oh, and first of all, motherfucking T-Rex. Now my question is in 2 parts.
Yeah.
First, are you going to do another Nostalgia Critic review in the same style as your Catwoman, Wicker Man, Devil, Last Airbender type of reviews?
Oh, where there's like a kind of story going on and stuff like that. I mean, yeah, well, we kind of alternate between them because that is something I really want to do when coming back. I don't want to. I'm like, I don't want to just sit in front of the white wall. I don't want anyone to be like, oh yeah, I can see why you came back. There's so much more yelling in front of that wall that needed to be done. I really wanted to try different stuff and see where I could go with it. And those things go over really well. Like the views on our. Thank you. Stop! Go!
What was wrong with me?
I'll forgive a 7-year-old for thinking all those things.
I want you to enlighten me. What is the most overrated movie of all time and why?
All time?
Let's choose.
But choose wisely. I don't know. I think it's gonna be personal preference. I mean, but like the ultimate, oh my god, no, I know, Avatar. Stupid Avatar. It's stupid, and it looked cool in 3D, but then How to Train Your Dragon came out, it was so much better looking, so I'm like, I don't know, there's something, it's like, it looked nice, but I'm also thinking, like, as nice as it looked, there's more pretty movies than this. And the 3D technology was really cool, but like I said, it got outdone by How to Train Your Dragon, so it's like, even that doesn't hold up. And even people that do like it are kind of like, yeah, I know, but it's so pretty. If it was not the highest grossing movie, I'd be okay. But the fact that it is, I mean, it's just like, I really bite my fist at it.
I got a few, right? The Blair Witch Project was a big one, and I'm like, I don't get this. And everybody at the time was like, oh my god, I cramped that pants during that movie. And I'm like, okay. I was counting the ceiling tiles because I was getting so dizzy trying to watch it. I don't know, I know it's going to sound crazy, but I remember the year it came out, I saw Saving Private Ryan, and I'm like, that's alright. And like, everyone's like, oh my god, how can you cry? It's a war movie, it's alright, but I don't know, what?
I know there's others, but those are the only ones like at the top of my head right now, so I'm sure there's others.
You guys saw a Facebook post where you said you thought The Matrix was overrated or something like that.
Oh, okay, I'm not, I mean, it's not cemented yet, but I really want to do a Matrix one.
I cannot stand the sequels. I do really like the first one.
I don't even like the first one.
The first one's not bad.
No, like there's some stuff I like, but for the most part, I'm like, this is really stupid. So like, and I just think, even if you like it, it's like there's still a lot of easy stuff to make fun of. So I think I got my account. That's really overrated because it drives me nuts.
2 of them. Eyes Wide Shut.
Love that movie. Shut up.
She loves.
Shut up.
Because he's mistaken.
Eyes Wide Shut.
It's like a porno called Good Bits removed. And the other one, Unbreakable. I don't like so many people I know. It's like, oh, it's like a movie made for people who don't like comic books. I'm like, why are you watching it? I hate that movie. And that was another one. He's like, no, it's really good. I'm like, no, it sucks. And then when Science comes, I was like, I can't believe all these things I've seen in this movie. Stilted acting and bad dialogue. I'm like, and yet you sat through Unbreakable. Where were you?
I was intrigued with Unbreakable. I always say Unbreakable is a movie that I like, despite the fact that I think what I get out of is very different than what M. Night Shyamalan intended me to get out of it. I see very much a story where it's like, there are these predestined past going on, but it's a bad thing. Like, it's a scary thing. And I don't know if he wanted that at the end. He might have been like, no, because most of the movies are, there's a path and it's beautiful, and there's some rocky roads, but it's beautiful. And for me, at the end of that movie, I'm like, this is terrifying.
All I got out of it was what should be a short conversation between Samuel L. Jackson and Bruce Willis takes 30 minutes across a table.
I'm sorry, aliens looking for a door was much more interesting. So, yeah, there you go.
Thank you, guys.
Sure.
He whipped out mace. It was insane.
And now I just pray, like, I'm really down.
Where was security? That's what I want to know. Hey, Rob again, and hey, Doug. So I just figured before I ask my question, I should hopefully properly introduce myself. I am the law. I gotta say right now, your review of Judge Dredd is my all-time favorite out of every one of your reviews.
I like that one.
I actually gotta ask, how's Judge Dredd the musical going? But in terms of my two-part question, just very quickly, and I know you probably gave a couple pointers, but I just wanted to ask because I'm trying to, well, the thing is, I'm a film student at school. I love reviewing films. My biggest inspiration is you to try and review films. I look at your reviews and I think, I wish I could do it just like Doug. But obviously, copyright.
I don't have that supply of crystal meth.
I'm trying to get started with a channel. I guess I know you already gave a couple points before, but any kind of personal advice?
Say whatever you're Googling or looking up, again, I mean, like, I start with 5-second movies, and people just saw Matrix in 5 seconds, Star Wars in 5 seconds, and it's like, it's quick, it's funny, it's easy, there's a lot of them, so people would just naturally click on it. I think it's sort of the same thing, and I love doing it, and I have a real passion for it.
So
It's
short but sweet. That's
short
but sweet. Like, so many people submit things to us if it's 40 minutes long, I'm like, no.
yeah, when I started off, the reviews were like 5 to 10 minutes, and eventually they grew. But it's like, my videos were 5 seconds. I mean, it's like, build it. Yeah.
We can grow and then just take advantage of the fact that you guys can watch it anyway, even though it's 40 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing, a lot of people think when they do a review, it's like, well, I can make it, you know, a half hour to 40 minutes or whatever. It's like, you can, but again, we built up to that. I think for anyone that's like a newcomer, it's like you know, the internet, I mean, don't just click on anything. There's a million things saying, go away from here.
Our CEO said something very important. He's like, Doug, just assume that everyone on the internet has a 5-minute attention span. And he's not entirely off. People will click on things, and literally, like, after about 5 minutes, if it's not gripping them, they will move on. I do it myself.
Without 5 seconds, I mean.
Yeah, I'm just like, and at first I'm just like, well, that's terrible. What are we, an age of idiots? And then I find myself on the internet doing the exact same thing. I'm like, oh my god, I think I'm right.
Yeah, so it's, you know, just be somebody that you would want to watch, that you would click on, and, you know, you would continue watching. You know,
That first minute or two is the most important. Like, don't spend forever explaining what you're gonna do. Don't take your time. Just try to watch it.
yeah, I mean, the quicker you can grab them, the faster you hold on to them.
Grab them, put them in a headlock, and then punch them again and again.
With your creativity! I'm awesome! Thank you, man! Have more!
Yes, creativity. That's what I meant.
And then just for my second question, I just want to ask, what do you think of the short film Duet?
The short film Duet.
Let me ask this: are you familiar with the animator?
Oh yes. Is this the blue background?
Yeah.
I saw that.
The one but the guy who animated, who was the principal animator for the Beast. The Beast. He made this short film.
Yeah. No, I did see.
In the last panel you did, you talked about how you started the Nostalgia Critic to review some of the stuff that you edited. And I was wondering, what was the one that hit you the most, that you went back to and you realized this isn't anything like I remember?
Probably a toss. I mean, not anything, but yeah, a couple of things. The Turtles cartoon, which I still love. I mean, don't get me wrong, but I'm like, yeah, okay, this kind of makes no sense. It is dumb.
Actually, the cheapness of the animation in the Turtles cartoon is what blew me away. Because I remember this being so fancier, and I was like, wow, this is a pretty cheap 80s animation.
Yeah, what else? The Lord of the Rings anime one, I said that. But the one that was really sad to kind of admit when I watched it again, because I watched the Batman anime series, I loved it, I'm like, God, this still holds up and it's so good, and I watched the X-Men cartoon, and I still love it, don't get me wrong, but I'm like, it ain't Batman, it is not Batman, and I still love it, I love what it did, I love that it got me into X-Men, I love that it took a lot of kids more seriously and talked about more adult stuff.
For a Saturday morning cartoon, it was a noble effort.
Yes, yeah, it is still, I mean, like I said, for what's coming out at the time, it was still hills and valleys above what was coming out, but if you watch it again, it doesn't hold up that great. But I'll always love it. So yeah, those are probably the big ones. Thank you. Sure. Riddle me this, Batman.
Riddle me this. I don't actually have a riddle.
Oh, she's playing to the bottom of the building. Oh crap.
Security.
Actually, your mom's house, Melvin. She's been around Gotham, bothering everyone. I had to get rid of her. I'm sorry.
Oh, thank you. You're my new hero.
No, but with actually, my first one is with you killing off that guy with the glasses. Are you sure you want to do that? Because with your past history of killing off characters. Are you sure?
No, it's great because we have a replacement show that I'm sure is going to do fantastic. Like, everyone's going to love it.
New word. Demo.
Yes. Everyone, that's a prize. Yeah.
The second thing is, except for the Ghostbusters costume way back during the Casper review thing. Came to one of these things dressed up, or are you ever going to, like, as one of your own characters, or a character from a movie, or?
I've done that a couple times. Jessica's a narcissist and he likes people to see his face. So. No, I've done it a couple times. Yeah, I did the Ghostbusters was the first one. Then I did what was it? I did the Bum at YomaCon. I did Raoul Duke, the Hunter S. Thompson guy at ShadowCon.
We had Ego Raptor, that one. That was like 2 scoops of crazy going on.
I did Zod actually at our convention in Connecticut, yeah, it's one of those things where I always said I would, but like stuff to do at conventions suddenly catches up, and you kind of want to see people too.
The larger the con, the more difficult it is, because we end up like even today we're just. This is Doug reading from this guy's script, Schindler's List 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Here's the keys, Waldo! I heard better sickness acting from my eldest son when he was 13. I have a son! I am Inspector Julius Julius! And we know you are been hiding here. Should proofread this, I think. With top secret government intel under the assumed name of Franz Hopper. Oh, I read the other part.
What did you start?
Oh, yeah.
That's back to Christ.
Secret intelligence from the French government? Yes.
Out! You are deemed a threat to international security, so therefore, by order of French Interpol, I hereby place you and your accomplices under arrest. Thank you and good night.
You can just give it that back to me.
I want to hear his
Hello guys. Doug, first of all, thank you so much for the picture of today. It means a lot to me.
Oh, sure.
Second of all, I'm a big movie musical guy. I mean, I love movie musicals like Beauty and the Beast and Sweeney Todd. And I also...
That's so similar.
I also really don't like movie musicals like Mamma Mia or Rock and Pages. Those movies are just...
Normal, sane, rational human beings down here.
My questions are like, what are your favorite movie musicals or what are your least favorite musicals? Aside from Moulin Rouge.
The favorite? I'm trying to think.
Fiddler on the Roof.
Fiddler's really good. I'd be tempted to say.
Hi. I have a question for both of you. Well, for Doug, there was a question that Lewis asked once that he never really answered clearly. Why did you watch the Odd Lady Timothy viewing in the first place.
Why did you watch that anyway? There's no chicken fingers in it. All I'm saying is my history of Power Rangers would have been far more interesting of a film.
No, honestly, I'll say right now, when I saw the trailer, it looked kind of corny, but I'm like, it was advertised pretty well. I'm like, it looks kind of interesting, whatever. No, because I was like, I'll give it a chance. And when we were flying, my wife and I were flying back from France, and there was just a movie, and she was like, oh, I kind of wanted to see it. I'm like, okay, let's watch it. So we put our headphones on and watched it. We were just laughing up a storm how bad it was. And it just, that really is when the wheels started turning. I'm like, I could do a review of this. I could do like some sketches with this. I was just thinking of all the comments because it was so intriguingly bad. And they're horrible parents. They are the worst. And I'm like, if they came to an adoption agency, I'm like, you people, no, you shouldn't even raise a puppy. So I just really dug it, and that's when I started thinking, like, maybe I could do this again. So yeah, it was just on a plane, and because it was like 9 hours, you know, we had to watch something, and yeah, thank God we did, because that really is what brought the critic back.
All right.
Yeah.
And, wow.
Yes.
I think it's safe to say the site wouldn't be what it is without your contribution. But
flattery will get you everywhere.
I was wondering, what's the most fun or the proudest thing that you've done for this site? Like anything specific comes to mind?
Good question. If it's the thing I'm most proud of that we've done, I really liked Dragonborn. I thought it was slick, it was short. I don't hate the other films we've done, but they keep getting longer and longer, and I'm just like, you know what, let's do something that's like 40 minutes long, quick, to the point, you know, throw all our money into just making it look nice and slick, and yeah, I personally thought it came out really well. I mean, it won, but you know, it sells. I also really enjoyed the early stuff with the video game nerd. I really just enjoyed doing that because it was just so goofy and off-the-wall, and us just traveling all the way out to Philly to film with him, and then traveling to New York to shoot that. Oh, like the actual traveling, yeah. Like it just, it was the first time the site was really taking off, and I had a feeling like, wow, we're doing something fun and important by YouTuber standards. I don't think anyone really did like an online feud, like sort of a fake one to like that extent. I don't even know if people were big Andy Kaufman fans. Yeah, stuff like that. Yeah. So yeah, probably. There you go.
Okay, I got
top that guy.
Okay, I got 2 questions. The first one is, may I please borrow a cup of sugar?
Flipped them off.
And the second one is, speaking of Adventure Time, I think I have an idea for another TV show that not only I think is great, but I feel doesn't deserve enough love. And that show is Dan Versus.
I'll check it out, yeah, I've never heard of it.
It's about an angry man who thinks the whole world is against him.
We all know your stance on Man of Steel, but there's one Zack Snyder film I actually really want to know your opinion on. Watchmen?
Oh, I think for an adaptation, it's fine. That's got to be one of the hardest comics to adapt and take seriously, and I thought he did a pretty damn good job. There was so much hate for that film. And a lot of it seemed to me, in my personal opinion, to kind of come after Man of Steel. The more sympathetic there I could not be, but I think people were retconning this in their heads, and they're just like, people who kind of liked Watchmen or were okay with those.
Hi. I know you were a really big inspiration to me and probably a lot of people here, and I just want to know, what inspired you?
What inspired me? In terms of what? Just do any of this? Or I mean, in comedy, it's a lot of stuff. I mean, it's like there's Bill Murray, there's Lewis Black, there's Warner Brothers cartoons. Yeah, Chuck Jones, so many of these things. Burr, even Tom and Jerry. Yeah, I mean, a lot of slapstick, Three Stooges, you know, all that stuff. But in terms of like doing this online, like, hey, maybe I should try this. I mean, really, I was kind of thinking this critic idea, like, you know, somebody that started doing what Lewis Black did, but with nostalgic movies, because I was going through that nostalgic phase. And really the one that showed me, like, hey, there is an audience for this, and this can be done, was James Rolfe. Like, when I saw that, it was sort of like opening the door saying, hey, he's literally just playing an old Nintendo game and saying it's shit. And we watched it and we're just like, oh my God, this can actually work. Because on paper, that probably shouldn't work. You'd look at it and be like, really? Like that, but the way he did it and the way he was so funny about it, it just totally took off. I'm like, okay, there is actually like a market for this.
Well, and I think too, because it was sort of the earlier days of like YouTube and online video and stuff, I think like everyone will talk about a movie now or a kid's film or even a kid's game and swear about it and say all this stuff, but really nobody was quite doing that, especially in video form and making it funny and getting angry at it. Taking whatever, an 8-bit video game from like 10, 20 years ago and just getting so furious at it,
And basically what happened was Doug was going through a midlife crisis. Kind of. I shit you not, like he would look up old cartoon intros and outros.
I was obsessed.
And old commercials from his childhood and would just start putting them on. And so we started noticing too that there were a bunch of Gen X sites that would like sort of go through these things and review it, and they had one on Cartoon All-Stars to the Rescue. And it wasn't a video. They showed the video, but it was just a written review, and it was talking about like, holy shit, Winnie the Pooh wants, quit the smack. Yeah, to quit the smack, and he's trying to get the sister to turn the brother, and it's like, and Doug from there kind of just reviewed that sort of with the same kind of concept, and it took off.
Yeah, so I mean, it's definitely, really he probably is the biggest one to sort of show, hey, this can be done, and there's definitely an audience for it. So yeah, he's sort of the biggest one.
Sexy down.
No, I hear people that have read the book really do.
I have.
Yeah, I heard that people that have read it really don't like the movie because of the changes and stuff. So that could be totally, understandable.
All right, follow up. Doug, could you please, and Rob, why have you let him naughty?
Doug doesn't read, but Doug doesn't have time to Anyway, I never made him read it. I mean, I read it like 10 years ago, maybe. I saw the film and I was like, I did not hate it like everyone else did. I did not love it either. I thought it was only okay. I liked the production design in space. I was very much questioning why in the future you can build all this shit in space, but you still have to launch things with a rocket. And the whole future looks like a 1950s Norman Rockwell suburbia. Like, I was just like, what's with this? I don't know. But my biggest problem with it is the one thing that stood out in the book was the relationship Ender has with his sister. I thought in the movie that was non-existent, and that to me was just such a key to it. And there's always there. It was there, but I don't know. It just didn't play as right to me. It was a bigger part of the book. It was a bigger part of the book. It's a very by-the-numbers film. I just feel like it's not bad enough for me to like rage, but it's not really good either. It's just very much I saw it and I'm like, yeah, it was alright. I've kind of forgotten about it actually. So I'll probably check the book out though.
Sure. I will sleep so much better at night.
The book is better. Okay.
Actually read the book because everything.
The book was a page turner. I read it pretty quickly too. Yeah, that's why I hear it goes by pretty fast. Yeah.
Everything you said you loved about the movie, the book.
Does better.
What made you show the movie didn't even try.
Two things. One, I work at the Worcester Art Museum, and we currently have the Michael Keaton Batman suit.
Awesome! Okay, what you gotta do is we will sneak in, just have it ready, we will pay you. You heard nothing.
Second thing is, I liked the movie, but did you ever think about reviewing The Dark Crystal?
Actually, I don't think he likes it. I don't hate it. I love the look of it. I love the creatures and stuff. I have a complaint. All the people complain about say, I just think it's boring, and I still want to like it. The only line I thought was really funny and really clever was, and I'm probably giving this away, but after the flying scene, and he says, I don't have wings, and she says, well, of course not. You're a boy. I thought that was a real good, that was a good joke. That was a good way to get around something. I was just like, that's pretty clever. No, I love the look. I love that it's all puppets. I so
wanted to like that film, but I fell asleep.
Or David Bowie.
Yes, or David Bowie schmuck. So, yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know there's enough to review it and get lines out of it either, but yeah.
Cool, thank you.
Get the hell out of here, you little Eddie, Hitler, you!
Not you.
This is my first time actually seeing you guys live, so I'm a little bit starstruck.
Cool, it's my first time seeing you live. I think
What I wanted to ask you is, I have been getting more into film recently, and I guess more for personal knowledge of film. What directors and what movies would you suggest?
Well, in terms of just if we want to go pretentious, let's just throw Kubrick out there right now. I love Kubrick, but I love Eyes Wide Shut. But honestly, no, in terms of people, again, it's just sort of personal taste. You just gotta kind of go out there and try, see what people recognize.
Kurosawa, I really like.
Kurosawa's great.
I purely Spielberg a lot. Not all of them are perfect, but like, I still submit that Raiders of the Lost Ark is like just such a perfect movie. And
The Last Crusade,
yeah, even as, Empire Strikes Back is also one of my favorite movies. Like, just because it's a blockbuster doesn't mean I have to hate it.
I check out some of Cemetery Gilliam. I would check out too.
12 Monkeys.
Yeah, 12 Monkeys Brazil is my favorite movie. I'm trying to think of any other like really big ones that I'm like.
I like David Fincher's work a lot.
No, I'll tell you right now. I think the best filmmaker working is doing new stuff, and it's wonderful. I think he's
what you're gonna
friggin' Spike Jonze.
Yeah, I think it's
He is unbelievable. He's doing new stuff with storytelling and writing and visual, and I think he's amazing. Strangely enough, even though I don't like all her work, I would recommend Julie Taymor too. I think she's doing some new stuff with film that's really interesting.
Good times, good times. I feel like we're on PBS now. I get tired of it.
I just wanted to say that if it was a work for you, I don't think I'd be interested.
Oh, thanks so much, man. That's my favorite. Oh yeah, I love that one. Wait, one month. Yeah, I know why he's called Fat Cat Burglar now. Everyone's like, well, it's because he's stealing fat cat. He's fat and he's stealing cats. It's like, yeah, I get it. Yeah, well, screw that. They still could have made it more clear. It's not a dumb joke anyway. It's like you're defending a stupid joke, but okay, whatever, sorry.
My second question is, I don't know if you're aware or not, but I've seen this. Are you aware that there are Full House episodes shown on Nickelodeon?
They're showing Full House episodes came on after Korra.
Oh, that's right!
Yeah, and because I was complaining in the middle of season 2, overall I like the Korra show, but season 2 I thought in the middle it really hit a low somewhere, and I'm just like, you know what, I'm more interested in what's going on in this episode of Full House from the 1 minute my Devo recorded on what's going on in Korra right now. So, yeah, no, I actually did a whole episode on Full House. I know we grew up with it when they were new episodes, so, yeah.
Cut it out! My final thing to ask you, can I have a hug from you?
Yes! Do it! You're funny, he's a vampire now. I hope that tugged in your heartstrings. I don't hear no applause. I just say right now, that's the one, because it takes a while to run around there, so good timing, kid.
So on your profile here, you guys asked for people to review donuts. So my own question is, would you guys like some donuts?
Yes.
I saw that one coming. Yeah.
Oh my God, there's a human hand in there. That's good. Man, how much chocolate? Let's see. I'm gonna take this because real men like pink screens. Yeah. Sprinkle, sprinkle, sprinkle.
Yeah, sprinkle, sprinkle.
Two questions for both of you. First one, have you guys ever seen a movie that you've maybe watched more than once, but then your opinion of it has changed? Like a movie at first you saw that you liked, but then when you saw it again, you're like, ah.
Well, you were saying Into Darkness, it had that effect.
Yeah, sorry, I'm actually switching to Into Darkness, when it first came out, I really liked it up until the stupid ending. Which I don't care what anybody says it's a stupid ending. That's just fact. I know it's science. But watching it again, I saw it again recently because I had a friend who hadn't seen it. And we put it on, and her exact words were, "Why did you let me watch it if you've seen it already?" Because it was terrible. I was like, you should see it. I want another opinion. And watching it a second time, I'm like, this is not even holding up from the beginning. And I really, really wanted to defend it because I don't hate the Abrams reboot. I actually liked the first reboot a lot. But Into Darkness, I was defending the first half so much and just throwing it all on the ending and watching it again. I'm like, no, this isn't working even from like the first 3 minutes. I'm like, wait, what the hell is going on?
Well, that opening was pretty silly, yeah.
No, for me, I think, I'm trying to think of one. Actually, one that he mentioned before, Saving Private Ryan, when I first saw it, because I saw it on the big screen, and it's like that opening was so intense, I just got, drawn into the rest of it, I think, from that. And then when I watched it again, it's like you can see the Spielberg everywhere, like all the Spielberg stuff. And it started to show, and it got a little corny. But I'm trying to think if there's any, he's just so maudlin. I think I lost it at the end where he's like, am I a good man? Did I earn it? I'm like, come on.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm trying to think if there's any other. I'm trying to think if there's any Kubrick films that I go back up just like, ooh, no, that didn't work.
Honestly, since it was brought up earlier, I don't hate the movie, but Clockwork Orange is one that has not aged well for me.
Well, okay, the look of it is very dated.
But even in 2001's another one where I'm just like, it's alright. I really loved it at first. I was like, wow, what does it need? And I'm just like,
And I still love those two.
But yeah, top of my head, I can't think.
Okay. I got one that I'm sure because of this crowd they'll kill me. I don't think it's a bad movie. I actually really like it. Spirited Away is one that I was I was like, I love this movie. This is the greatest movie ever made. And watching it recently, I'm just like, it's good. It's not the greatest movie ever made that I remember though. There are other Miyazaki films out that I like more than that. And I'm like,
I know that's the one that I still love that one. So yeah, hopefully it helps.
Yeah, before I get to the next question. Yeah, I just had that experience with The Dark Knight Rises. So anyway.
Me, it was the first time seeing it. Yeah, it was the first time for me too.
So my next question is, guys, let's say you're stuck in a room, held at gunpoint, and you can only watch one of these 3 movies. Last Airbender, Food Fight, and Garbage Pail Kids.
I'd say shoot me.
Don't get stuck in that situation to begin with, but shoot me is also a good answer.
What I say, Last Airbender, because Shyamalan is at least entertainingly bad. And there's something about his pretentiousness that he will just not listen to anybody, and I don't know, he makes me laugh.
This is why I carry cyanide pills on me at all times now.
Thanks, guys. Sure.
Hi. 2 suggestions.
Get a life.
No, that's his shirt says that. He's just reading the shirt. He's like, Rob's a dick. I'm like, look at his shirt.
If you're doing the Sunscreen commercials again, I know personally you should just destroy.
What's that?
There's a Nickelodeon commercial that says birds are always funny. Weren't the kids?
Is this a Sanchi and Drake commercial?
Oh, God. It's literally great commercial kids who laugh at us, nonsense like that. And I only really touch upon this briefly, but maybe you ever use Star Trek Nemesis?
I don't.
Seems more like a Lewis thing, really.
Yeah, I don't dislike that one as much as everyone else does because I think there's some really good. No, I think there's some really good elements in it, but yeah, it's still kind of stuff.
As bad as Insurrection. But
yeah, but yeah, probably.
Where did you get that shirt, by the way? I actually really like it.
Thank you. New York? Oh, okay, let's just go to Santa New York. When we go to Adventure Time, we'll just do that.
Thanks, random lady. This is kind of a mundane question to ask wherever I was.
Get a mundane answer.
I was actually checking in on a recommendation I made a while ago, though.
it might have been swept up in the recommendations that you have, especially since like just here you got like
nostalgia chick's right there.
No,
Freebie.
do you remember anyone from this manga gave you a copy of called Gintama at all, or did it end
That
up
is the
getting
nostalgia
either
chick.
sweep away in other recommendations or didn't leave it in that?
I think I got swept away. I'm so sorry. I can tell you right now, Doug's dirty little secret is barely ever reads manga. I'm more likely to do it. I don't read a lot of manga. I'd rather just watch it.
Yeah, no, it's one of those things where it's like, I know it sounds terrible, but it's like, I do get a lot of stuff, and it's like just organizing it and getting it together. It's like, it's trickier than this.
If Doug actually followed every recommendation he has, he would have read everything on the planet by now. Yeah, he's get it done.
Well, one thing is that I just recommended the first volume or whatever because even though it gets better, the anime has like a really rough start.
Okay, what is it called?
Gintama.
Gintama is spelled
Gintama.
Gintama. Okay, I'll look it up and see. I'll check Anime News Network or something.
Alright, you might end up liking it a bit more or whatever. In fact,
I generally like anime more than Doug anyway, so.
Yeah,
except Spirited Away! I never said that. Oh yeah, give me a. Don't turn them against me!
So yeah, if you do end up seeing it, I recommend skipping the first 2 episodes because they're like filler.
Like most animes.
Like,
Oh, come on! It's always like every anime is like, we're gonna drop you right in the middle of what the hell's going on, and then the third episode is like, we'll tell you what's going on. That's like half of them.
Except for Cowboy Bebop.
Staggering. Just luckily you like equal anime. I both like the net. No.
Alright, well, thank you for your time and have a good night.
Sure, take care, too.
Hi, I'm a big fan.
Of
you, Doug.
Security, yeah.
I just want to know when you guys are going to get a new nostalgia chick, because I think the one you have is not very good.
I mean, it's like we tried to tell her we don't want her, like, go away all the time.
She has a problem with boundaries, too. Real big problem with boundaries.
I know, it's like
she'll have people's personal space.
Yeah, like cutting in line and stuff like that. It's crazy. Now Nella is awesome. Nella's great.
Big fan. When are you going to give Nella her own show?
Oh my God, if she was here right now, I'd turn on the spot. I'd make it happen.
The second Nella produces something, we will drop that other nostalgia chick like a flying hand grenade.
You know who's also good? That vampire chick, the pregnant one.
What's a pregnant vampire chick is awesome.
Yeah.
I feel like it's Twilight babies and like kicking inside.
Yeah, I don't know. Is it gonna kill her when it comes out? I'm not sure. But I don't know. Bottom line, nostalgia chick will soon be gone. Nella will take her place.
You are literally a deity.
Thank you.
Lindsay Ellis, everybody! I don't think people knew it was her coming out, so when she said that, everyone's like, whoa! Whoa!
I knew it.
That's how I was like, this is my friend. Give her one more applause there, guys.
Oh, sorry. This poor girl, like, right in front of us, is like, I don't know what to say.
Yeah, she's just seeing the back of the head, so she's like, what's going on? I don't know.
I totally think they're gonna fight.
She asked me if it was okay before she...
Oh, that's very nice. Okay. Hey, I'll just take it back.
I'd rather think that she didn't just so we can make the illusion complete. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, go ahead. This is...
Alright, so this is kind of a lame question, but it's bothering me. How many nostalgia critic hats do you have? Is it just one, or do you have like 40?
It's like the Bat Cave. He has like a whole ton of them. I should have more, but it's usually just one. And when I lose one, I buy another one.
Or like, if it's too dirty, whatever, buy another. I'm gonna get another one, because it's getting really destroyed. So yeah, I do have a couple suit coats. Like I have a stunt suit coat that in the food fight, and then this last review as well, I'm gonna have to retire because it's literally covered in all sorts of garbage. So yeah, but there's only one.
Alright, thank you.
Sure, no problem.
Could you give us a little hint of the next NC is going to be?
I can say that's returning back to a director that we've done before, and I
once.
yeah, and I actually keep her does.
personally. I actually can't say any more than that because it gives something else away, which, when you see the review, like, you'll know. You'll be like, oh, cool, he's doing that. So, yeah.
And have you heard about the rumors that they might do another garbage pail kids movie?
It can't be any worse than the last. I'd be amazed if it's worse. Yeah, if it's worse, then honestly, we need to pack it in as a species. We're done. Let the dinosaurs come back. No, it's like when they said, what do you think about them remaking Drop Dead Fred? I'm like, good, make it better. I mean, the original sucked. I mean, it can only go up.
Alright, thank you.
Sure. Hi.
Hey guys, I just want to ask a quick question. Kind of a more serious question.
All right.
Like a little different than the other ones.
Okay.
I was going to ask, like, this applies to both of you, but, like, what makes you kind of angry, like, most angry or upset about the movie industry now?
It's not that serious. I mean, the reboot thing does suck, and the constant sequels and everything, but at the same time, I kind of like some of the stuff they're doing with a lot of it, so I'm not that angry. I think, honestly, really my biggest thing is when there's just like, even in the reboots and the sequels, when there's no aspect. Yeah, I mean, formula. That really is where I got pissed off with Transformers 4, because it's like, even if it was like horrendously bad, it's like, I can accept it for being so bad it's good or something or whatever.
And that's just my problem with Into Darkness, because if Into Darkness had a brain, it would have ended on a dark note like a movie like Empire Strikes Back or something, and instead it's just like, oh hey, no, we just solved all that problem, and you know, instantly, 5-year mission to space, high five, like nothing happened. And that is the formulaic aspect of Hollywood. And it's like, oh, we don't want to challenge the viewers. What? Make them sad? No, maybe then they will pay for money next time to see a sequel. Like,
yeah, I mean, it's the same thing. Like I said, that's why I got really pissed off with Transformers 4 making as much money as it did, because it's like, you were giving them nothing we haven't seen.
Michael Bay is completely right though. That's the funny thing. It's like, yeah, see it anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things where it's like, it gets really annoying and really just, you want to punch it, but yeah, the lack of anything new is when I start getting really pissed off.
Creativity, pretty much.
Yeah, I just new. It's like, give us anything new. You know, it's like, we're only on this planet for so long, when I watch the same stuff, program half the summer blockbusters into a computer, you could just program the parameters and it would just shoot out a script for you. Yeah, like that's really how bad it's gotten. So, yeah, so there you go.
Thank you.
I just want to say thank you for literally 7 years. I've been watching since like Super Mario Brothers, you know, with the military skit.
We've done yeah. No, well, at YouTube. Yeah.
And second, thanks for introducing me to the pro.
Oh yeah, it's incredible.
I think at least half of us watched the pro because of you, and I had to watch it.
I know for a fact you did because Greg Sestero said that you wanted. he said the two big things. He said the Adult Swim April Fool's, that was probably the biggest, and then the second was our review. So that was like the coolest thing I could hear.
And he's coming. It's so upset.
No, did you hear he likes me now? He's like, he is a cool guy. I have no problem. Next question.
Give me money.
Yeah, I mean, so I'll take it.
I downloaded it on like dial-up, okay, and I had to watch it, and I got frozen right on.
You were frozen, son of a... I have heard of that, yeah. That, we'll have to see.
It just looks so bad, I just don't want to.
Yeah.
First time in, it's Hugh Jackman with balls, I think.
He's not making that up.
It's a game we could go and play if we wanted to. I don't think we will, though. Maybe we will.
Into this movie, trust me, though, you just don't want to.
Yeah, no, it's going on right now.
Alright, well, following up on the balls, I'm
I kind of wanted to, but we can't be in two places at once, so we went with that walking.
Sure.
This is kind of like a rough sort of.
The hardest thing I've ever had to animate?
Yes, like when you do the introductions for like this alternate and all those things.
We did the stop motion one, that was tricksy. Well, I mean, again, that was more you guys. Yeah, that was in the gym and stuff. But for me, I'm trying to think. There was a time where I thought I could do like a million more things. I started doing something called the cartoon show, and I only got 3 episodes out because it quickly kicked my ass. But those were tricky, but they were definitely a lot of fun too. So one of those, yeah, you'd have to go way back. I think they're on the DVDs too, but yeah, probably one of those.
And the second question is, do you have a weird fan story?
Oh, that is one. We could write a book, but I don't want to be mean. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I'll do the one. There is one I always say because it's funny, and I don't think the guy... I'll let you take the lead because odds are I probably was there for it. Yeah. There was a guy, the first time we ever went to Zealand, it was one where you sort of sit at a table and people just sort of come up and there's no designated times or anything. They're just, hey, just sit at the table and do a panel, whatever. And the first guy we went to, they had a party the night before and we went to it, and after that crashed. Yeah, no, it was an accident though, because it turns out like I was fighting to the punch with Everclear and Doug didn't realize so I put rum in it. Yeah, so I got like 3 glasses, so I had like double the alcohol. I had the equivalent. We're both hungover, Doug way more than me, but we're So we're there, and people are coming out, and we're both getting hungry. We want to go eat, and there's a restaurant right behind us. We're getting ready, and this group of people are around us, and this one guy is in this group. And so the group leaves, they're going to a panel, whatever, and then he just sort of stays, and he says, can I take you guys to dinner? And it's like, you have to do it more just, can I take you guys to dinner? And he's like standing there like this, or twiddling his fingers, and we're not doing that. We have a pretty, hardcore thing about buying our ass off this one. Hungry as hell. Yeah, it was knotted like this after drinking too much the night before. So we say, we've eaten. He goes, oh, okay. Stands there at our table in total silence for 10 minutes. No, but he's answered 10 minutes. And then he'll ask another question. So, what's your favorite movie? Brazil? Oh. And then he'll sit there another 10 minutes, and you can literally see, like, he's working it out in his head, a bunch of hands. Yeah. And it's like 10 minutes, it's like, Yeah, he did this for, like, justifying the reason he's to be there by trying to come up with questions. And they'll be like, so, what's your favorite NC episode? Oh, this one. Oh. Yeah, and then he was there for another 10 minutes, and this went on for, like, at least an hour. I almost snapped him. It's just like, have you been helped? Yeah, and he would stare at us and just like, so directly in our eyes, and I'd be like, and this is what our con etiquette, like, we weren't used to fame yet, so we probably do something different now. Yeah, so but we were just sitting there like, just sitting there. I don't want to insult this guy by like going obviously to the restaurant across the street in front of him. No, or the one right behind us. Yeah, Salvation's right there. We can't get to it. Finally, after 3 hours, like 3 hours of him staring us in the eye, he's like, okay, bye, and left. No, he's like, okay, well, I guess I gotta go to work, so I'm sorry I couldn't take you out. And we're like, that's okay, don't worry about it. It's like, okay, bye. And then and then we looked at each other, we were both, thank God! Yeah, it right into the restaurant. We were just like, okay, let's make sure he's gone. So I'm driving away in his car. It's like, all right, bolts for the Cracker Barrel. So that's probably the one that goes by. I don't know what he wanted from us, but we just couldn't give it to him. We obviously couldn't give it to him, yeah, whatever. We just wanted to stare for hours.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Sure.
Oh, nice.
Hi, Rob. Hi, Doug. Well, hi.
What a story, Mark.
Freaking Bubbles! Freaking Mr. Bubbles! I was just wondering, since you just obviously love Stephanie Meyer.
Oh, yeah. Greatest writer of our time. And national treasure.
Did you ever consider reviewing The Host?
Yeah. I haven't seen it. I hear it's bad, but not like enjoyably bad.
I haven't seen it either. I'm just curious.
Just general. Well, what was the movie that killed Ebert? I have heard that's the last movie he ever saw. Oh my God, that's hilarious. What a sad one going. That's like Raul Julia died in Street Fighter. Street Fighter. Of course. Maybe I'll watch it. I did just see, there was one I sort of said I'll wait to review it, and now I'm like, damn it, I really want to review this one, but I can't. She comes home one night, she says, I told the video people I was looking for a scary movie, and all these ones I've seen already, so they pointed me to this one, and I never heard of it, so I decided to get it. Have you seen one called Lady in the Water? And I just amused her. I said, okay, it's scary, but not for the reasons you think. Let's put it on. And, oh God, we had such a fun time. It's like, I just did After Earth. I'm like, why couldn't I practice it? Why couldn't I time travel? You should have waited and done another Shyamalan one. I'm like, there's more we could have done. But no, it was, it's just killing me. So,
So yeah, that's the next like really funny bad one I want to get to. But maybe I'll check out the host.
And this is just a nerd's curiosity, but I'm not sure if this is more Linkara's territory, but would you ever consider reviewing the Doctor Who movie? I'm not sure if you know a lot about Doctor Who.
I know, no, I see Blink, and that's it. And I love Blink, don't get me wrong, but I know nothing about Doctor Who, and I'm sure it's
All the
great.
history of Power Rangers or chicken fingers.
But no, I don't watch it, and I'm sure it's great. It doesn't grab me. So probably Blink. No, I like Blink, and it's good. I totally acknowledge it's good. It just doesn't. I've seen the first 4 seasons, and then nothing against it. Once again, it's just one of those things I lost track of. So I haven't seen it since 10. But I enjoy it.
So thank you very much.
Absolutely.
2 questions.
Sure.
What are the absolute worst movies you have ever reviewed?
Let's see, Garbageville Kids, Food Fight, Master of Disguise, Cat in the Hat here. Cat in the Hat, yeah. Let's get one. I hated Tank Girl too. Tank Girl was, okay, there's 5. There's like 5 that are really bad ones.
And what movies could you watch again and again and never get sick of?
The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. If it's stuff we reviewed. Are you talking about ones we reviewed?
Any movie, really.
Any movie? My favorite movie is Brazil. I can watch that a million times. Big Lebowski. Secret of Nim I can watch a million times. Casablanca, Empire Strikes Back, Raiders of the Lost Ark. I mean, yeah, really a lot of the ones that's like Batman. Yeah, Batman, can watch that a million times. Last Crusade, I can watch a million times. Yeah, you notice a lot of them are not what you would call like classic art house films, but they're entertaining. But even though like I can watch this again a million times, I still love that movie. You're right, you can. But yeah, I think this is more than enough. Hopefully that works.
And then I just wanted to say one thing. Thank you so much for remembering it so we don't have to.
Thank you for remembering it.
Thank you for all that you did for me this weekend, and I got like 3 or 4 questions. But the first one is, how long have you been doing this, like the create all your characters and stuff?
I think they said 7 years, yeah.
And,
You've never been so.
And what was the hardest part? Like,
the hardest part? Gee, probably for a bit. The hardest part of all of that, maybe probably a toss-up between Suburban Nights and Tivoli Please. Suburban Nights because I really was not prepared for the stuff that happened, and I just wasn't prepared. I mean, yeah, we pulled it off, which was great. And then probably Tivoli Please because I thought I was prepared, and everybody told me I wasn't.
did you ever think about like possibly doing more stuff with Lindsay, or even making a movie of your own self?
Lindsay, that panel crasher? No. Unless someone's like, whoa, he said it, panel crasher. I wouldn't there.
I think you two are just comic geniuses, and you two are the funniest characters ever met for webcomics. So.
Oh, thanks so much. And I mean, we'll probably find something. Actually, yeah, we went to have a crossover coming up as well. So no, it's we're always getting to work with Lindsay. So yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like if something just seems like, oh, this seems right to do, you know, then we do it. Like I remember when we said to do the Chipmunk adventure, and finally we were at a convention here. It's like, let's do it. So yeah, it's just if the movie is right.
And what about like making? You know how the video game nerds making a movie about his character? What about like something like one of your characters, like a movie you watch?
I think the anniversaries are as far as I can go with it.
Just like us, but thanks for everything.
Absolutely.
You're the best.
Oh, take care.
First up, Chuck Norris.
Chuck Norris!
Two questions for you right now. Some of my favorite top 11s from you are any of your top 11 episodes. Like I remember your Simpsons episodes and your South Park episodes. Are you ever going to make any more? Maybe like some like top 10, top 11 Futurama episodes or Family Guy episodes?
We do have we have a top 11 worst and best of a certain show coming up, but I can't say what it is or even when it'll come out because it actually corresponds with getting somebody out to film it with. It will probably be the first top 11 we do that has like kind of a guest star, if we can work everything out. So I don't want to give it away, but there is 2 cool ones coming up.
Awesome. And since I just know someone already stole my question of if you do vlogs on a regular show, another show that I have an idea if you can do a vlog on, Steven Universe.
Have you heard of it?
It's one of the newest shows on Cartoon Network. It's a really equal horses with 3 hot women.
Apparently one of the stars is right there, literally a star. So cool. Yeah, I never heard of it. I'll check it out. Hello, Beanie Black Me. I can't tell if that was planned or if a fight's about to happen.
Well, I don't know. You tell me. Do you remember a fling back in Christmas of 1992 with a woman named Janine?
Yeah, no. She would have been like 13. Don't bring it up. I don't like to talk about it. Oh, this was dark. So did I. You started.
That escalated.
Please ask your question.
Okay. So, given that you are a superstar and you probably had...
And an adulterer, apparently. Internet celebrity adulterer. That's gotta be a sitcom.
Sanctions on certain areas of the internet. But how do you handle like all the hate that comes against you? I know you got your fan base, but just how do you handle something like that? Because we're trying to engage the viewers.
We're editing the viewers. He's like, hey, look, we got a whole bunch of haters. Great, you know you haven't hit it till you get haters. No, there's a lot of truth to that, and you have to know going into this, that's always going to be a part of it. I mean, there's always going to be people that aren't going to like your stuff. They're going to try to, why are you watching this jerk? Why are you blah, blah, blah? It's always been there. It's always going to be there. And thank God it's there, really, because you don't want everyone to unconditionally love you and say you're great. You want people to, even people that do like your stuff, to say, I don't know if I like that, or have you tried this, or whatever. It's just going to be part of the game. And honestly, compared to the kind emails I get saying like, hey, you really helped me, out of a tight spot, or I had depression, or I lost somebody, and you really helped me through that. I mean, it's like, I get much more of those than, you suck. And even if I did, it's like, who cares? I mean, it's like, I'm doing what I love, and I don't look at it this way. My opinion is, if somebody writes like, you suck, like this, and then like, wow, we had such an effect on somebody that they took the time out of their day to log onto our site, create an account, just so they could type 7 letters, just so they could type, you suck. I'm like, that's power. We win. So, yeah.
Thanks for inspiring me, guys.
Sure, no problem.
Oh, and by the way, you know what Michael Bay doesn't have? This dick.
Two questions. The first, was there any thought behind the iconic Nostalgia Critic costume where you're just like, suit, tie, hat?
It was kind of, it was that I wanted someone who was trying to look professional but then gave up halfway through. But the white shirt and the tie, because the first couple I just had whatever shirt under there, and then when I was going to the Harry Potter event, the premiere of the book, you just said, it's a big event, you should wear a tie. And I just sort of liked that, like maybe a white shirt with it too, and I just put on, I'm like, man, does that pop? I'm keeping that, like that looks really good.
And then, I need to know, what makes a man think that, what would make this movie a lot better? A close-up shot of my balls.
Oh, perfect. You want the horrifying thing? He made me shoot that scene. I can't unsee that. I'm like looking through the viewfinder, like trying not to. No, honestly, the biggest part, no pun intended, about that scene is that it wasn't that big. It was very cool then. But no, the nice thing about that is that actually I didn't mind flashing the camera. I didn't mind that everyone around there was constantly getting flashed when I was shooting it. I didn't mind. What bothered me the most is that I knew everyone was going to think that I wore tidy whities, and I don't. I do not wear tidy whities. Okay, I don't wear them. But that's the thing I knew would be the funniest, so I had to wear that throughout the whole shoot. And I can safely say that is all the costumes I've worn, that was the most uncomfortable. I don't know how women walk around those things at all. There is not enough steel wool to scrub my eyes out. Sparkle, sparkle, sparkle. Yeah, sparkle, sparkle, sparkle. Hi.
Hello.
Good question. Take care.
A lot of your movies, you don't like people to stereotypes. Like you don't like those Jar Jar thing. The thing that.
Well, they're not done well.
The thing they did North was pretty bad.
Yeah.
So how come if that's bad, why is South Park fine?
South Park, I think, is okay because they're actually funny.
I like South Park. It's a great show. I'm just wondering how the differences come.
It's tough to say. I say there is an awareness, and they know that everything they do is going to be bad taste. They even say in the beginning, the goal is to offend everyone. I don't know what knowing your audience and what you can get away with. Yeah, I don't think people were expecting overt racism and Phantom Menace. If you go into South Park, you kind of know what you're getting into. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing, like, nobody really even complains about South Park now because they just know, oh, it's South Park. I mean, they even said that, like, remember when people used to, like, you know, rage against us? It's like, we're doing the same thing now, we're doing things much worse, but just nobody cares because they know it's South Park. So yeah, I think there's just the sense that it is kind of their style, and I think what they do, and I think it's really fair game, and I think really great comedians do it, is that anything they shove or say about others, they'll say about themselves. I love in that Passion parody, when, you know, they want their money back from Passion because they thought it was so terrible. They said, come on, this will be just as good as when we got our money back from basketball. You know, which they did. That's a movie they made, and it bombed, and they, you know, they make fun of it all the time. So, you know, I think that kind of stuff is, like, totally legit. South Park tries to be equal opportunities too, like with who they ran. So yeah. So yeah, there you go.
Oh yeah, I killed Boomer. Boomer will live.
Do you believe in God, Boomer? Are you afraid of God, Boomer? No, but I'm afraid of you. Are you afraid of God, Boomer? Boomer, yeah. That would have been a much. Why is that? It would have been more interesting if it was about a dog. Yeah. Boomer, where are we going? Boomer, catch. Sorry. Hello.
I have two things.
I see you. Careful, she's going to drown you.
Maybe I might, maybe I will. So you're very inspirational. I'm also a very huge critic and someone.
But I just got to laugh a little bit when a woman comes up to me covered in blood and says, you're very inspirational. It's DLC, like, yeah. I'm sorry, keep going. Keep going, I'm sorry.
That's all right. And I'm also doing a YouTube series too called Drunk Cosplay Reviews.
Okay, I love this idea already.
You can imagine how well that goes. And I do a lot of things, especially with Cora, and I know you love the Avatar series. It's probably the best thing that we could ever get with cartoons.
Yeah.
And my question is, am I going to hand in really destroying your Shyamalan? It's just a pusher, that whole, like...
I don't know what sort of problem you have with Shyamalan. Now, we say a hand in destroying Shyamalan, like what do you mean?
I don't know, just like any input, or maybe, I don't know.
Oh, like telling you what's wrong about him? I think a lot of it speaks for itself.
Yeah, it speaks for itself. I mean, like, you know, if you want me to, like, cameo, Elizabeth.
Oh, as Elizabeth, like, kills Shyamalan? You've been Shyamalan. Maybe. We'll see. I'll tell you what, contact me on the website, just put the drunk cosplay, whatever is the title. If this happens, I may need to knock Malcolm out, because I know he plays Shyamalan in the video and I do the voice, but I may just need to use his identity for it. I'm only saying, it's like, kill me, yeah, help me in the headlock, yeah. Oh, we got a great cosplayer involved? Yeah, Malcolm, take a hike. So, yeah, just contact me, maybe we'll do something then. Where are you at? Like, where do you work from? Like, oh yeah, I was wondering where.
Honestly, I'm a core animation student still, so I work anywhere.
Well, I mean, we're in Chicago, so where are you in New York? Or?
I'm within that region. I'm around the US.
All right, cool. Well, we'll see what we can do. Yeah, just send me know. I mean, if it's possible to get to Chicago, I'm sure. Cool.
Fantastic. And my second thing is, stop over here. Can I give you a kiss?
You give me a kiss. Well, we kind of just did a hug. I'm going to have to come all the way down there. Just gonna take a picture to show my wife.
funny face.
Thank you, it's Gary.
Excuse me, what do you think about the animation of the new Teenage
The computer generated ones?
Yes, his dreams, Doug. Go on.
You know, the new show, I've seen a bit of it, I openly acknowledge it's a lot better than the original. Like, there's much better stories, and they keep it much more focused to characters and stuff like that. I really have trouble with that animation. I wish I liked it. I wish I could get more into it, but it's like there's some bad hand-drawn animation for whatever reason I can handle better than bad CG animation. And okay, it's not bad, but well-funded, I should say. You know, because the CG, I can't do CG animation. So many bridges you're burning. No. It's more that I think it's because I grew up with the hand-drawn stuff, so even the bad stuff I would like. It is hard for me to get into the new one with that animation. Not that it's bad, it's just not for me. It's just tough for me to get into. It's the same thing when somebody says I can't watch South Park because, you know, the animation is just that way. I actually don't mind it that much, and I've seen the first few episodes of the show, and I was actually kind of digging it, so. Yeah, no, it definitely has a following, and it's good, it's just kind of not. Of course, it's on Nickelodeon, so expect them to screw it up somehow, but, you know. So, but, yeah. That was fun.
Hi, I've seen your top 10 favorite like TV shows of all time. And I know that you're a big fan of Cowboy Bebop, and that you're also a fan of Avatar: The Last Airbender. Yep. And I was wondering if there were any other animes you had like a strong passion for that you really liked, including like I'd like to know your opinion on the new pretty popular show Attack on Titan.
I have not seen any Attack on Titan yet. I hear it's great. You know, I love Attack on Titan. My only, talking to the person out there, is like, it's awesome. My only issue with it is so everywhere. I'm like, I love this show, and I'm kind of getting like, okay, I've seen enough like Attack on Titan. But it is amazing. No, for me, there's actually a show that I think I like it because I know an anime show a lot of people don't, and I love this show. It's called Kino's Journey. Have anyone heard of this one? Yes! There's a couple that have. It's so under the radar, and he got to me. It's just like, you know, we watch an episode, and you know, and it's like
watch this. It's artsy. You'll like it.
Yeah, and I just love it. I watch it again, and it's so good. Paranoid Agent is one I like. He did actually get me through all of Full Metal Alchemist, so I not Brotherhood. I got him from the original. Yeah. And I think I said in the list, I really like Wolf's Rain a lot too. That's like one of my favorites. Yeah, that's good. My favorite of the past 3 years is hands down Sword Art Online. I love that. Yeah, absolutely. Nice shirt, Iron Giant.
Yeah, Iron Giant.
That's awesome. You've been a really big inspiration for me, and I think you're a hilarious comedian, and I think sometimes you have satirical genius in you. But I just wanted to ask 2 questions, or actually just one, really. What do you think of Fight Club and Donnie Darko?
I like Fight Club. Yeah, I like that a lot. I like it because it does kind of change with the time. It's kind of relevant, it's not relevant, it's relevant, it's not relevant. I think it'll keep going on like that.
I am Jack's raging colon.
Yeah, we quote it all the time, so we love it. Donnie Darko, I love the idea, and I love that it's speaking to a younger audience about these ideas, and in a way that's really different and really challenging, and I love that caught on. I think it's horribly written. I cannot get into who talks like that. I mean, nobody talks like how these people talk, and I think it's just insane.
And you sit through and break.
It's Shyamalan, but I don't know. But I love the idea. So I'm very mixed on Donnie Darko because I'm kind of like, man, there's some. I like that they're taking younger people so seriously, but I'm also like, as a writer, I'm just sort of like, this is a little weird. So.
I understand where you're coming from because it's a little Nolan-esque, like exposition.
A little bit, yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know why, it was just kind of not my thing. I was like, I like the idea of a view of a child, I thought it was very cool, but it just hasn't aged well in my opinion.
Well, it is like a 1940s story. It is about racism in the 1940s. It is going to sort of be dated.
And always remember.
Cool, thanks so much.
Before I ask my question, it's just one thing. Alan.
I'm a dinosaur.
Well, one thing I was always wondering, like I've been watching reviews for a while, and one thing I was always curious about, whenever you use footage from newer films that like maybe came out a year or 2 years apart from each other, do you ever have to go through like legal red tape or whatever, like, to get permission to talk about it, or?
No, it's weird. Like the ones that have been taken down and we're kind of hiding, we're kind of not on it, we're not pushing too hard. But like I think Cat in the Hat Jurassic Park got taken down, and those are pretty old films. But no, surprisingly
Universal, not so coincidentally.
But I think the thing with like, I think something like Man of Steel 2 is even if we're trashing it, we're still promoting it. You know, we're still talking about some of it too. Like Man of Steel is so everywhere on YouTube that maybe you can just slip by under the radar, or maybe they're just assuming, oh, it's a review. Like, you know, they're trying to pick and choose their battles. I have no idea, but there's no logic to how anything works on YouTube. I mean, you're guilty until proven innocent. You're just taken down. The companies have complete control of this. They have these little robots that search for things. And, you know, that's it. This is the new world order of the internet. So, enjoy.
Right. No, because I was curious about it.
Sorry, I got on my soapbox there.
Like recently you did that old version of the Spider-Man movies, and you used footage from Amazing Spider-Man 2, so I was like, wait a minute, that came out like several weeks before.
Well, and those were clips that are already online as well. Like those were the clips that they allowed too, so that kind of helps. I think as long as it's not like the whole movie, I don't know. It's hard to say, but it's still covered by satire, parody, review, all that stuff. But it doesn't mean it'll always hold on. So sometimes it's gonna just we've got backer. You know, we were with Blip, we've got Maker now. They're owned by Disney now, so it's like if we get into trouble, we can just tell somebody, hey, fix it. Like I always feel bad for the people who have like when the whole Let's Play crap that happened. Like, you know, if you don't know any lawyers or you don't have anybody to turn to, you're screwed. Enjoy, like, and it sucks. It really does.
And like you have that flexibility because you're doing a parody technically. You're not just like.
Well, and the review, yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's the argument. We'll still get stuff taken down. Like, and there's no logic to it. It's just like, yeah, okay, well, apparently it was this one music clip from, and somebody got upset. Yeah, it's always gonna be part.
Does your wife like that?
Says, my wife would like one of those. My wet banana. Mom, get off my wet banana.
And second, so someone who's been influenced by both you and your videos, but does not have the technology to start, doing videos. Do you know any websites that or good places to get a blog out there? Just something to start off with, and just any general advice for someone who has the passion to review.
I'm not the guy to ask for the blog thing because I like go to my site, maybe College Humor, and nothing much else. I mean, I'm actually not online as much as you would think. Go find some people you know that are.
I was wondering, are you a Toys R Us kid?
I'm always a Toys R Us kid because I've never grown up. I don't want to grow up. Screw that.
Are you ever going to do more of the commercial videos?
We will. It's just finding more to do. We're running out of commercials. Is part of the problem. But we don't want to do too many modern commercials because, man, if advertisers get wind of that, they're going to have our heads. Yeah. But there's still a couple that I like to do. So we'll probably do another one.
Also, can I take a selfie with you?
Not right now because we got a whole bunch of our people. But if you come to autographs tomorrow, pictures are free. Just wait in line and I'll just take this time right now just to say at the end of this panel, like, I have to dash right after this, so don't come up and be like, can I do this, can you sign this? Because I really do have to take off. But I'll be here tomorrow. So tomorrow I think at like 2, I do have autographs. Any questions you didn't get, 2 o'clock. Any questions you didn't get or something you want to sign, just bring it there and I'll be able to do it then. Because I really do have to just like dash as soon as I'm done here. So sorry about that. I love that cosplay. That's awesome. It's awesome.
Thank you, although I feel I should apologize for what my hat's been doing to your video for the past 10 minutes.
question was,
I got really excited.
in some of your reviews, like when you reviewed Hook, you mentioned Jojo did like that, and your commentary on the character movie, you mentioned that For a Kid's Film was actually rather alright. Yeah. So what movie would you say that you like the best that you ripped the crap out of in a review?
Yeah, I really like and I do really like, I like Hook. I really do like it a lot. So
I like Jurassic Park. I mean, we found legitimate things to complain about, but I still love that movie.
Yeah. So,
how can I not?
yeah, no, I'd say those are definitely two that definitely.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the first movie.
Yeah, I mean, I still love those films.
Actually, the animated film we did too, where that's the MNT, yeah, where
that's
like
the
a Mako. Yeah, I actually like that one too.
But yeah, I'd say those are some good ones.
Alright, thank you, because that's always one of the things that, like, even if I like the movie you're reviewing, I usually still laugh at what you point to.
Yeah, it's all about jokes and having fun.
I like Twister. Like, it's fun.
Yeah. Cool. Have a good evening.
In your nostalgia critic review of the top 11 Disney villains, you listed Maleficent as number 2, I think. I was just wondering if your opinion and her status would have changed since the new Maleficent movie came out.
Yeah, now it's going down a notch. No, she's still awesome. She's still really, really cool. She would be number 1. I just really, it's like when I saw that devil, and he is the devil. No, they say in Fantasia, our next one is about the devil. It's like, no, it's Chernenbog of the mountain. Yeah, but they say devil, so he's the devil. Yeah, no, it's just one of those things where it's like, when I saw him, it's like, that's Satan. It's like, you can't top that.
Maleficent is the best thing in that.
There's
not much else going on. The fairies are
the fairies are cool. The climax is cool, but again, Anna just her. They are like they're the most boring thing ever. And coincidentally, in Maleficent too. So yeah, no, I think it's awesome.
Hi. I was wondering, have you ever said anything about a movie that you now regret?
About a movie? What do you think? I wish I made it more clear in the Pearl Harbor one about the swimming, the sailors who couldn't swim because the naked people couldn't swim because there were, but in my opinion it was very much.
I looked it up and warned you not to.
No, it was something. But I was saying like. Part of it was that, like in Titanic, they make it very clear there's not enough lifeboats and this is the situation. They put a lot of time and effort into how these people die. I mean, the real people die.
It wasn't getting into the whole history.
I know, weird, right? And to me, it's like you really want to do these people a service. You should have made that very clear very early on, and you should have addressed that. And it should have been about the men, and that's what I was saying. Like, it clearly was not about the men. It was about these fictional characters that, were not there.
Roger Ebert had the best line. He said that movie was about how the Japanese surprise attack an American off Dragon. And I think that just sums it up perfectly. I'm like, it's not really about Pearl Harbor. It's about these 3 people and their stupid issues. So
yeah, so that's definitely one that I was like, I wish I made that more clear. And I did explain a little bit more in one of my editorials, explain it a little bit more, but it's like, because a lot of people do like that speech, I like it too, but it's like, I do wish I explained that a little better. So yeah.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
You too.
Hey guys.
Hey.
I assume that you guys have gotten so sick of so many people gushing over you, but I just have
We will never get sick of that.
And it's just so great that I'm here talking to you right now.
We're talking to you.
And I hope to do something on the level at which you guys do one day. I'm an aspiring author and writer, and I started doing reviews on the internet a few years back, but I'm kind of trying to branch out and do my own thing now. And I can imagine so many people would love to work with you someday. But I was wondering, is there any reviewer on the site who you have yet to do a crossover with or would really like to?
I usually just do them. Again, it's sort of like the material, does the material lend itself to it? So, not yet, but if something comes up, I'm like, cool, I should do that. I'll just do it, with that person. So I usually just ask. We do have something coming up actually we are going to use it with me. Yeah, we got plans for Matthew actually. And not this next review, but the next one. The one after, he should be a big part of. So yeah, so you'll definitely see more of him.
Okay, and one more thing. Do you ever plan on doing another anniversary film?
Not anytime soon. Like I said, we're trying to get these other shows close to it, but they're pains in the ass to do. Yeah, and the nostalgia crews have gotten a lot bigger now to do, and it's sort of a bigger production. So we're open to it, but this year we're definitely not. But we'll see if more come in the future. My guess would be yes, but we'll see what happens.
Like maybe the 10th anniversary?
Oh, it's probably sooner than that, honestly. So
okay, cool. Well, awesome. Love you guys.
Love you.
We'll see you tomorrow when you sign it on.
All right, sounds good. And with that said, guys, we are out of time. If you did not get a question for me, go ahead, come to autographs tomorrow. They're at 2 o'clock.